The third arc of episodes covering 13 through 19 shows us Kaname's complex feelings about Sosuke. 13 shows her quiet jealousy as he helps Tessa with her duel with Melissa. The arc when he's on assignment shows her missing him while he's gone, and the rest shows her simultaneously wanting to be with him, but infuriated when they are together. You might say that's really just the show's normal vibe, but what comes across especially here is how the absence is affecting her. It's not that she doesn't have a life beyond him, but that his absence hangs over her despite her being willing to actively oppose him in simulated combat as a form of spite. What's clearly coming through is that the very thing that draws her to him are the things that aggravate her. She wants him to be who he is, except for the part that infuriates her, which is everything. It's not that she doesn't know what she wants, it's that she's at least partially upset that she wants someone like this. That's frustrating. Melissa demonstrates two sides of herself in this. In 19, we see bravery, leadership, and the capacity to see past the surface in Sosuke and Kurtz to recognize what an effective contribution they could make as a team. On the other side, episode 13 shows her pettiness. Her behavior towards Tessa feels like it's from out of nowhere, to the point that it's more likely a symptom of a larger problem that she's dealing with, possibly a form of self-destructive behavior going further than her usual choices. Provoking Tessa feels like there's jealousy underneath, hinting at things she is struggling with and is using insubordination as a way of coping with them. Tessa's role as the submarine captain is explored a little more. While we saw her in the field in our last arc, in this one, she's much more in her normal context. Her demonstrations of strategic insight, despite tactical incompetence, showcases why she's better in a senior role than a battlefield one, in spite of beating Melissa. Yet her inability to walk the corridors of her own submarine without walking into things shows she's not even completely comfortable in her own context. Of course, the major part of this arc is the trilogy of 15 through 17, when Sosuke has to go back home, to where he first became a soldier as a small child. The arc peels back the veneer as his nemesis plays 10 little Indians with his new squad mates, all while turning his old friend against him. Sosuke's military bearing to the point of cluelessness is a central part of his character, naturally, but what comes through especially here are 2 points. First, a perspective that always considers situations from a position of assets and deficiencies, strengths and vulnerabilities. Awareness of them and calculations around those factors are what make him so effective, and it is how he sees the world. He views the world through a lens of potential conflict and consideration of what tools to manage it. The revelation of what happened to his colleagues in their cave safe house demonstrates why there is no such thing as innate safety in his view. Safety can only come from calculation and vigilance. Hence the idea of making security the theme of the fair. Second is what complicates his own relationship with Koname, which is discipline. Sosuke embodies self-control to the point that he can control his progress at the training camp and intentionally be mediocre, presumably his way of keeping a low profile. He also disapproves of the lack of this in others, such as ending the recklessly stupid thing Melissa did with her pistol, even while telling Kurtz to stop his unprofessional behavior before it infects the rest of the unit. The place this has in the trilogy is how he tolerates the unprofessionalism of his new squad mates in a place where he is being drawn into painful memories of loss. In other words, he doesn't even allow his own personal pain to intrude on the discipline required for this situation, even when they're the ones provoking it. Now, of course, the way that this discipline is also a problem is that it's in contrast with the emotional disposition that's required to utilize the Lambda driver. It is his mind that defeats his old friend turned betrayer, but it is his heart that defeats Garen. Sosuke's return and sitting next to Koname in the hall shows what is changing within him. It seems like what is hinted at is that until now, he lives this life because he can be nothing other than what he was shaped to be. With Koname, he has someone that gives that drive focus. He is not fighting because that is his nature, but because she is worth fighting for. The trilogy shows why this is so vital. It is not merely a worldview, it's one that has been drilled into him through past tragedy and present day casualties. His discipline isn't a Peter Parker need to make up for past irresponsibility, though I am sure there is some degree of survivor's guilt in him. Rather, it's the scars left by fragile candles being snuffed out that affects him, drives him to be harder. It's hardly a surprise that the very next thing he gets up to is building a watchtower. He wants to protect all of those around him. Protecting Koname is more than just a duty. It's his very reason for existing.